Do It Yourself brought to you by TNZ Home Improvement and SwimCall. Get into green with SwimCall, your partner in defense of the environment.
This is now on TTT, and you can also catch us on Talk City 91.1 FM, TTT Live online, and on the World Wide Web at ttt.live. And guess what, guys? It's time for DIY Now, one of my favorite segments. And I am continuing my little series here. They are gift ideas that you can do for Christmas. And today I'm going to make a wine gift box. So, you could make a nice gift box to put your wine in. And even though it's a cheap bottle of wine, it could look really fancy. So let's get started. What you will need, firstly, 12 screws. These screws are 1.25 inches. Afterward, you would also need 2 hinges. These are ball tip hinges. And with the hinges in the package that you can get at your local hardware, you will get 8 screws to go with those hinges. And you will also need a latch. With these latch also comes a few screws, and these are really, really small. So again, you can get at your local hardware store and take care of it. You would also need, and this is already pre-cut, these lengths are 1x4 lengths that are dressed. They are cut to 13 inches. My base is a 1x6 length. This is also cut to 13 inches. These are the top and bottom respectively. These are cut to about just under 5 inches as well. You'll see where it goes. And then finally, this is the top, and this is what we're going to put the hinges on and attach the latch and stuff later on that we are going to make as the top of the wine gift box. So you could open it up and you could present your nice bottle of wine. So let's get started. The first thing you want to do is add the sides to the base. And as I said previously, we are going to work upside it down because it just makes life a little bit easier. So what you're going to do is take your side pieces, you're going to line them up here, and then your base. Again, remember safety first. Make sure that you protect your hands, protect your eyes. So let me put my safety glasses on at this point. So as I line this up here, I make sure the corners meet. You then pre-drill your holes with a drill. And then finally, you drive your screws in with a screwdriver. You can do this by hand. You do not necessarily need power tools for this part of it. You could use a regular screwdriver if you don't have a power screwdriver. So that's one side. Line it up here again. Drive the other side. Here we go. So this is now going on the left side. So one side of the base is working. Now we could spin this around just because it's easier to work from the front as compared to working too close to you and you'll be hunched over. So again, repeat the same process. We line up the sides. We then place our screws and work on one corner at a time. For this, again, we don't need very much screws because this is just a wine box, so you're not going to support a whole lot of weight in here. So you could safely use just 4 screws at this point in time to put in your sides. Now we're going to line up this left side, and then I'm going to drive that screw in. At this point, you want to put your top and bottom on. So again, you work from the top. So you could place this to face you like this, and then we're going to line up the top and the bottom. Again, you pre-drill your holes with a drill beforehand, and then you drive your screws in. If you do not, what happens is that you split the lumber, and then you're going to have to start over, probably cut another piece for it to fit. So again, you line up your corners. I'm working again in front of me. Then I'm just going to drive this screw in. I'm going to work one corner at a time. So this is the top right corner. I am then going to line up the left side. And you want to put a little bit of force here because what happens is that this tries to go out of place sometimes. So you want to ensure that you apply enough force to keep your holes lined up. So I'm holding this in place, and now I'm going to drive it in, and it'll hold there. You now support the base of this side. 2 more screws. On the bottom, notice I am not going straight to the corner because this screw here is driven through the side. So your screw would meet if you were to go straight to the corner. So what you need to do is come a little bit off the corner so that you would drive it in without hitting this screw. All right, now we spin this around and do the same thing on this side. Now we flip it over, and we're going to do the same thing with the next side. Again, ensure you line up your corners first. Put your screw in. We're working on the top right at this point. And drive around. Work on the opposite side now. Bottom right. Well, according to this orientation, we just put in the corners in first, just because it makes life a little easier. And finally, we work on the ends here. And again, I am off the corner just so that I don't meet that other screw. So this is something that you can, it has multiple purposes actually. You can use it to present a nice bottle of wine. You can use it as a caddy of some sort if you'd like. Once you finish this up, you can sand it down really nicely, make sure everything is aligned and even. And here we have the main part, so this is what we get. This is the top, and we have some hinges to put on here. But in the essence of time, I'd have to do that during the break. So what we do here, you turn it sideways, you line your hinges up, make sure they're at least about maybe 2 inches in from each side, from the left and from the right. So this is what your hinges are where your hinges are gonna be placed. All right, what you wanna ensure is that 2 of the holes of the hinges, if you look closely, 2 of the holes are on the lid itself and 2 on the body of your wine box. So you then you make your pilot holes, boom, 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 both sides, and then you drive your screws in. So we'll do that later on. Why I'm not putting it on yet is because you need to stain this thing and make it look really nice. And I need more time, much more time to finish this nicely before putting on this type of hardware. So I was just giving you a visual representation of where it should go and what it should look like. Finally, you would put on your latch, which would go on this opposite side here. So this is your lid. Let's pretend there are hinges on the back here, right? So it would open this way. In the front here, you need your locking mechanism or your latch. I got this at my local hardware store for something like $15. So it's really inexpensive, and it's a really nice end product when you're done with it. So what happens with this latch is that this moving part here, this goes on the lid itself. And if you look closely, you would see that this moves in a motion like this, and it locks onto this butt over here. All right? So one goes on the lid and one goes on the body of it. We can do it in either direction. I believe that it would be easier for me to do it this direction, so I will actually put this latch on the body of it, and I would put the stopper on the lid itself, just because it's much narrower. So then we screw those up, make pallet holes and screw those up, and then we'd have a nice wine box. So later on we could always do a recap and you can see what the finished product looks like. But thank you, big thank you to our sponsors, and this has been DIY Now.
Do It Yourself brought to you by TNZ Home Improvement and SwimCall. Get into green with SwimCall, your partner in defense of the environment.